have to introduce you. You can't just start this. You can't start the podcast without the host.
Oh yeah, let me give you a sob story first.
So welcome to the No Name Podcast. And today,
is that like Goonies Never Die?
I have no idea. I think Dominic and I just haven't yet agreed on a name, and going with like no name has worked so far.
I like that.
And
like that. It's catchy.
Yeah. Goonies Never Die. I've never seen that movie, but I know the saying because I've heard.
Are you kidding?
I'm still catching up to so much.
You see the look of
I
what?
know. I'm still catching up to so much Americana, like pop culture and all of those things. There's a lot.
Breakfast Club, Willow, The Goonies, Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink I've seen. No, I haven't. I've seen Sweet 16.
Or 16 Candles.
Oh, yeah. See, I don't even know.
That's okay.
I don't even know the name. There's just so much.
80s were bomb.
Yeah. And then I didn't get to really watch. I'm like, yeah. But I didn't get to watch them even like in the 90s just because my parents we didn't have cable until we did. And then when we did, then I just was like on MTV all the time. It was just like music. Always listening to music. Today's your birthday.
It is. I am 50 years old.
I'm honored to be celebrating your birthday with you, and I got you a gift. I got you a little shot glass.
Nice.
And I have my own shot glass.
Sweet.
And I know you wanted to try a little Bland's. Fun fact, you can collect all the little letters that are in here, and then if you send in, this one is A. If you send in, when it's crafted, they put these stoppers on them. They're individually, like they're all unique. Their horse is different and the letter's different. So if you collect all the letters and send them in, like all the Blantons letters, and send them in to the, I want to say the factory, the warehouse, they will mount them on like a piece of the barrel or a barrel rounder or whatever they're called. I should know this since I'm such a bourbon connoisseur.
Barrel ring.
Barrel ring, probably. And then they can ship it back to you. So you have all the letters. You do have to send in the two ends because it has two ends.
That's pretty cool.
And then you can show off to all your friends what an alcoholic you are.
Hey,
that you have an amazing bourbon
can you imagine
hobby.
how expensive that piece of board is?
Well, you have to find, and then you have to find all of these. It's hard to find all the letters. I am not a bourbon knower or connoisseur at all, but this was a gift, and I want to share.
These look like chess pieces.
They do. So I'm going to have a little bit, and
I see what you mean. There's a letter right there, the A.
Yeah, that's the letter. So today's episode, I'll put a little and we can sip on it.
Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bland's.
You know what's cool is this goes right into the saying, I might not be somebody's cup of tea, but I'm definitely somebody's shot of whiskey.
There you go. People always try to talk to me about the difference between like bourbon, whiskey, or and I have no idea.
It's the barrel.
I have no idea. I only know as much as I need to know to begin like a one-sentence conversation with the person next to me while I'm ordering a drink. I know nothing about bourbon.
Bourbon is your more expensive. It's in a season.
Did you already down it?
No, I just sipped it. It's in a seasoned barrel and it stays longer to where that's bourbon, where whiskey is just in a regular.
Okay.
It's all about the wood of the barrel.
And so, interesting fact, it's made like a hand grenade, which is so cool, right?
After you take a sip, you'll see why.
Yes, and it's dated, every single one. Like, I just love how documented, right, it is. Every single one's like dated, the batch or the barrel, and then this is number 101. So it's like registered officially. This damn bottle probably has more like documents than I do as a naturalized citizen. So, but I know very little about bourbon. I always listen. I love listening to people share about it. I'm Armenian. We have cognac.
Yeah.
And there's vodka from like the Soviet influence.
Vodka.
And vodka. And I stay like in those are my two lanes.
I like, well, cognac.
But I do love sipping on something so like aromaful, and
it's definitely.
you could wear this as a perfume.
You could start a B-52 bomber.
Later we'll go and pour this into the truck and see if it starts. What do you think of the smell?
I think
isn't it pretty?
It
has a good, like a beautiful aroma.
It's class. That's what it smells like. It
and
smells like
doesn't
class.
it taste a little bit like a dessert? Or doesn't it smell like a little bit of a dessert, like a rich dessert?
It's definitely that if you were to down this, you have a serious alcohol problem, and I'm surprised you're not dead. It's not something, it's like an
Why the shame and the guilt? I was thinking of downing this.
Because, no, I mean like every day.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like it's one of those that settles the stomach after, like brandy.
This is like a glass of dialysis. This would purify your entire...
This is like turpentine, man.
Organ network.
It will too. If you
Cheers.
got a cold.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Cheers. And 10
50 years old?
Right. And we've been friends for 10 years.
I didn't know you were close to 50, and you surprised me saying that we were going to do this on your birthdays. Honoring your 50 years thus far.
And yeah.
May you be blessed with 150 more, and wishing you strong health, prosperity, happiness, clarity, and all the goodness you'd want.
Today, after today, my life is going to be nothing but fucking magic and unicorns. And if you see me skip roping with a, I don't know, rainbow, let me be, because I've earned it. You know what I mean?
Good. Very good. Just make sure that after the bourbon, you still speak into the mic. Cheers.
Cheers, baby.
I might have to lower the mic to the floor. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. And I say that because every day's
my birthday.
That's right.
Okay, so
now you can feel it about right here, huh?
So that's like this is like a COVID vaccination.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you.
That is so fire.
This is when you like start feeling the flu. You go into your bartender, and you're like, I need something to knock.
And it changes. There's a lot of layers of it burning my gums.
If you don't have chest hairs, you will in a minute.
And then my throat. And let's see, my throat chakra.
Yep. And I just want to make clear. I mean,
it's good. It's so tasty.
And I don't make a habit of drinking anymore. But I mean, I'm sipping it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to come across as a hypocrite, because really I have not been drinking in a long time, but I have been guilty.
What's a long time? Because I say that, but it was like 2 days ago.
Right. No, I'm talking like 2018.
That's a long time.
Yeah. After 3 DUIs, you feel yourself kind of lucky when the first one was 7 years before your other two. So I don't want that to be a reason why I can't have my freedom. That's kind of stupid, and they get expensive. And then, not to mention, you're on the radar. When I stopped, tried again, but I just got sick. And my body was like, and so, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to be like my parents, because, I mean, this is destructive to a household. You make stupid decisions, and I don't want to go there again. So I know my boundary. I know that I wanted to try some for my birthday. And
do you like it?
I do. I mean, I'm stepping into my 50s with class, man.
That's good. I want to say I met you
2015
with your mom.
Because I left here, I want to say, I was 16, 17, so 93, 92. My mom and I, we were having lunch next door. That's the thing. It used to be the deli there.
I remember.
Yeah.
You guys were there. You guys would go in
and have
do your lunch, and then you would come into Ulala.
Yeah, and so then we'd sit on the couch and bullshit.
I remember that. And you guys would come in. Mm-hmm. I would enjoy seeing you and your mom, but I never really got to know you until later on your own after your mom?
That was a lot of ascensions ago, too. I mean, every time I come back, you'd see me in a different phase. You're just now seeing the
I've
one
seen
that's
many,
active.
the many eras. Yeah.
And many phases. And,
Yeah.
you know, and like I said, I mean, I connected with a second or third cousin in here, in your store. It was my Uncle Marty's.
I think I do remember that.
I recognized her. And
Okay,
then,
I have no idea then.
And then we tied it together as, she was like my uncle's niece or something like that. I don't know. It's a weird thing, you know, especially second generation in a town. You want to do a background check before you date. You know what I mean?
Or don't date at all in
Date
small
from another
towns.
town, yeah.
import people in from many different places.
Cheers to that shit.
Yeah. Don't date in small towns.
Don't date in your backyard.
No. I had someone. Ooh. I thought it's supposed to get better.
I think it's like red wine. You let it air
out.
And it's old too.
I had someone say, they're like, why are all the Armenian people like so, are they all so pretty? Like, why are Armenian people so pretty? And I was like, because we don't marry our cousins. And it's true. And if they do, if someone like does, I'm like, good for you. But culturally, maybe we did, like back in the day.
Yeah, but things have evolved, huh?
Yes, and there's a reason for that.
I think that Americans are so tied up with what's going on outside their backyard, they don't pay attention to themselves. And when you don't pay attention to yourself and you soak in, you know, emotions that don't belong to you, it makes you old.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Especially if you don't know.
I hear what you're saying.
You know, and I know empaths that, you know, they get all wiry with everything going on in the world. It's like, is it happening in your backyard and can you fix it? If not, don't absorb it.
Yeah, you can't abandon like the home front.
Right.
And your own children's like emotional needs.
Yeah.
At least begin with like your home, getting your house in order, your community, your city. I understand that. Like, I think being compassionate and caring about what's happening.
You're human.
But if if that comes at a cost of neglecting the immediate needs of your household, yourself, and your community, then that's a big jump to make.
I think people don't want to be that because then they're selfish. You're not selfish. You're taking care of your backyard. If it does not affect your backyard, you can't fix it. You can, one person at a time, influentially. Things happen all the time. You just have to acknowledge it. And yeah, that happened.
Tell me how 50 is. What does that feel like? What is that even like, the thought of that?
Well, first of all, I'm surprised I'm still alive.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's a toast.
There it is, because I've had a pretty hard one.
Yeah.
You know, things that probably would have killed people.
Yeah.
You know, that tasted real strong and sweet. Whew. Back that shit up with a bulldozer, huh?
I like the aftertaste more than the immediate taste.
You sip it. It's just an enjoyer, you know, and that's what I like about whiskey.
Unless you're operating on yourself.
Unless you're up for
like
a freaking...
John Wick, and then you drink and start carving your wound. Tell me again about your surprise that you've made it to the big 5-0.
You know, it's funny because women, I feel, we start ascending at an early age. And if you don't have somebody to coach you or let you know or even knowledge about it, you go crazy, you know? And it's weird because I've had to do that at a young age, you know, and I had to do it by myself. And that's really hard when you don't know why you're being attacked in certain places by certain people for things you didn't fucking do. I had to, and this was about 5 years ago, because I'm like, you know, I've always heard rumors about women that have had trauma in their life. One of two things is going to make you ascend. It's either something good or something bad. Well, the only time something good happens for a woman like that is when she gets married and she has a child. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then now you're a wife, you're a mother, you're on your own to make your own path, right? Well, things happen, they ascend when you go through trauma because you're being tested, like going through the fires like the phoenix. Right? But when you're born into other people's curses, unsolved traumas, you absorb that in the womb from conception, memory. You know what I mean? And you have to deal with it, and you don't know why. So you grow up feeling abandoned, especially when you're highly intuitive, you know, and you see things open like that. And I at 50, right before, probably, 45, you know, because I'm like, what is it about me that attracts toxicity? Because I don't want that. You know, I want love. I've never experienced what it's been like to be a part of a family. I've always been hidden or an outcast, or, you know, I have 3 different sets of siblings from different fathers. You know what I mean? And nobody connects because we're that dysfunctional, you know? And so the last 5 years, I mean, I don't know, I had a situation that almost killed me. I didn't think I was going to get through it. And I've been through a lot. I've lost my kids. People have lied on me after 14, 17 years of raising them, you know, or brainwashed them to where they hate me. You know, I've had my house stolen, being bullied, you know, maybe not being in the right frame of mind, you know what I mean, and letting people do that to me because my discernment, I didn't have any, you know, and I had to sit back and I had to really evaluate, and I had to turn it to my higher power. I remember going up into the mountains and just screaming. I was pissed, just screaming. I'm like, what the fuck do you want me here for? You've just taken everything I loved. I'm a good person. You know, what are you doing to me? Why? Why am I here? You know, and I felt like he gave up on me. And it was really weird because all of a sudden, all these butterflies just started emerging. I'm like, what the heck, man? And, you know, I sat with him for a while, and I remember thinking, when you're in a cocoon, and mind you, I had to figure all this shit out by myself. You know what I mean? I've gotten where I'm at myself. You know, I mean, there was nobody. You know, I mean, born into a family that they don't want girls. You know what I mean? So, I mean, everything, I'm discredited. You know, I'm that bastard child that nobody wants to claim. You know what I mean? And just what I grew up in and I thought was normal is not okay. Not okay, but I mean, I never told people anything. I was that kid that frickin', you know, I was quiet. I had a lot of shit going on. If I was quiet, nobody knew. You know, and as you grow up, you start having experiences in pain, and, you know, you're taking arrows that you don't know where they're coming from or why, and you have a hole because you don't know. You've been left in the dark all your life because you don't matter. You know what I mean? You're just here because, well, I had no choice. You know, that's kind of what it was. You know, baseline is I grew up with a narcissistic mother that was in, she was evil. And I don't know if it's because she didn't know how to deal with her pain. She didn't know how to break curses. Back to you put it under the table and you leave it there. You just shut your mouth and you go on with your life. You know what I mean? And I had an alcoholic father. Okay, and I had my brothers and sisters were gone. There were 13 of us, mind you, all together. And they're all gone. And, I mean, one brother just hated me, you know. So I grew up with a lot of trauma, you know, and it affected me. I mean, I became an addict at the age of 13. I did my first line of coke in the backseat of a car with a 22-year-old man. You know what I mean? And I'm ADD, so, I mean, I was on Ritalin growing up, you know, and after a while, you just kind of make your own way. You turn your medicine into drugs because that's all it is. You know, or you hook up with another guy, or, you know what I mean? And you're like, ooh, this is a release, this is fun. My mom would get pissed, let's do it. Here's what I think a lot of people miss, and it took me a long time. I mean, I lost my kids, my house, my dog was killed. Everything down to my core was stripped. And I don't know why. What the fuck did I do? What? I'm a good person.
Trying to get your attention?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I have 2 careers, and I've gone to school longer than I've not, you know. And it's because I didn't use my discernment. The universe was trying to tell me, you didn't learn? Well, fuck. Let's do something a little more. Oh, you still didn't get it? We're going to do this. Deal with it. Plus, you're dealing with traumas that aren't even yours.
Yeah, you mentioned that, like, the deeds of our... What is it? The deeds of our fathers.
Children pay
or
for
mothers,
the
generational
sins of their fathers for 100 years.
That generational
curse.
Whether people want to believe it or not, there's definitely something passed on within our DNA, within our karmic records, within our, like, even scriptures talks about this. So we're not talking about something like woo-woo, new age.
We're not pulling it out of our
Right.
rears. It's true, and I don't think that people, because, I mean, there hasn't ever been a label for it. You know, and I didn't know about my mother's mistakes in doing through life. It's none of my business. Now families are getting so disengaged with each other. I mean, grandchildren don't even know their history, their lineage.
Even for healing, it's so important.
Yes.
It's so important to know, at least, you can't change the past, but you definitely can have an honest relationship with the past and transform that.
You can put it to bed correctly.
Yeah, you
can have free will.
Yeah.
I'm pretty fortunate because the last 30 years has been a cycle. Started with one person, ended up with an acquaintance of that one person, and everything in the middle fell into place too. You have to let go and give God. Let him, because you have a reason to be here, or your life would not go into circle, and you would not go around the world to ease your troubled mind, so to speak. Because if you notice, when I say that, because when you fall into toxicity, or you fall into those what's been given to you at birth, you fall in the same people, the same routine, the same lessons. You can call it insanity.
Like a pattern?
Insanity. Insanity is trying to determine who is the test in your life and who is the lesson. Am I keeping a person around because they bring me good luck? And is this a test on how to open up my heart space and use it? Treat this person good because I wished for them? You know what I mean? And people happen that way. You can manifest what you need. Your heart does if it's pure, you know? Or am I the lesson that this person wished for me, or vice versa, and I treat them like shit? Who's the test and who's the lesson? You know what I mean? And if you don't get that, you're going to go to the same energy.
Like a rerun.
Right.
And I hear this when people share with me. Sometimes they'll say, like, I don't know why this keeps happening to me, and I don't know why I keep meeting that same kind of person, or I keep hitting the same kind of obstacle in life. It's the same resistance energy. It's the same haven't learned, evolved, transformative.
Because you don't know any better.
Haven't graduated.
Yeah.
And so it keeps alive. Higher power keeps presenting
until you learn,
holding you back, right?
Like
a grade, holding you back, a grade.
Yeah, it's like if you're not going to ascend and listen to the blessings, if you're not grateful and you don't see this, like when I was with toxic people, the minute I break away, I would be abundant.
Yeah.
Things would happen.
Because you weren't pinched off from abundance and source and truth.
Exactly. And a lot of
and purity.
Exactly. Just, you know, because not everybody that smiles at you wants to be your friend. You know, I mean, a lot of times when that happens, it's because you're the light to help people through a dark time, and they refuse it, and they just want to suck your energy because they see how abundant you are. They want that, and they take it from you, and you end up losing everything. You know, and then you got to pick yourself back up, you know, and we don't realize that just acknowledging, you don't have to take on everything, you know, to fix these blocks, or to, you know, especially curses, family curses. You know, I mean, if your mom's been married 6 times and you're on your 3rd, you might want to sit down and see what it is. Because after the 3rd one, it's probably you. It's really no difference between, you know, liking cottage cheese with pears because your dad does, or being a sexual deviant because your mom was. You don't know why. You just know that you're around that energy.
There's a familiar, almost like a template.
Mm-hmm. That's what you
pattern. Vibration. I mean, people use all different words, but it really comes down to that. There's this familiar pattern.
Yeah, because you're not worthy of anything better. You know what I mean? people get stuck and they're too afraid to look at themselves and go, you know what, I'm worth that. Because a lot of times I think people are looking for the answer when they are the answer.
At what age did you become conscious of becoming the observer in your life versus
3.
At 3?
3
Tell me
years
about
old.
that.
Okay, so, I mean, and I'm going to just put this out there. I hope that whoever needs to find this story, it manifests to them and gives them help. But if you don't believe, don't have to watch and don't have to criticize. I might sound crazy to some, but to somebody else, I might just have that key. I was 3. And when I was 3, we got in a terrible car accident. Terrible. And I died. And I came back. They had to use the jaws of life. I had a blow to the head at 3 equivalent to a 50-pound sledgehammer to a child. I didn't think, you know, and they life flighted me up to Boise. And I don't know how long I was unconscious. You know, I was in a coma. And I remember, because this is really the last memory of my childhood I had for a long time. Okay. So I remember waking up. My mom, she had her head down on the bed. And she looked like shit, no makeup. And my mom was a Texas doll. And her face had cuts all over it, and she just didn't look right. She looked ragged, you know. And I remember 3 years old, I woke up, I go, you look like shit. And she raised her head, and I remember her disappearing. She went into another room and shit, you know. They did the check 1 2 with my eyes, make sure I didn't, you know, still had my cognitive, and I was fine, you know. I mean, I was in a Pinto, I'm surprised, standing up in the seat. We didn't have seatbelts. I remember she was giving me a bath or something, and I had a birthmark on my foot that I wasn't born with. And it was the shape of a bird, you know, like that painter in the 80s put the happy little cloud right here.
Yeah.
You know how you draw a bird, you know, like an M. And I had it on my foot. And she was looking at it, and I told her, I said, that was left by the man with the bird that I was playing with when I left. And, you know, I'm 3. She's like, what man? I go, well, I was gone. I didn't want to come back, you know. And I told her, I said, well, I was gone. I was with this man, and he had a long, like Gandalf, he had a long beard, and he had a white robe, you know, it was tied, and we were walking around a river. We were walking along this river, and he had a big raven, this big bird. It was on his arm, and he let me play with it. And he took me for a walk, because I remember going up to this mountain. It was a huge mountain. He got me to the top, and he showed me some things, and I didn't want to come back. That's a lot for a 3-year-old. He showed me my higher purpose and what I'd have to go through. It scared me, because I'll tell you what, at 3, no 3-year-olds should carry those burdens. And so we continued, and we walked back, and I'm playing with this bird. I'm content. I don't want to go. I want to stay. You know, and the next thing I know is he pushed me into this river, and that's when I woke up. And then after that, I just started, I mean, I grew up downtown, you know, and these buildings are old. I mean, my grandmother, she opened a business here in the 50s. So a lot of changes and a lot of history. And I was a downtown brat, but I remember playing with the kids next door in their apartments, like above the movie theater and shit. Well, they haven't been there since the 20s. I mean, I was playing with dead people when I was a kid, you know, self-soothing. They were my friends. You know, playing with animals, dead birds, bringing them back to life. I thought they just knocked themselves out. But you know what I mean? I always had a compassion. And so, you know, after that, I was basically an only child because my brothers were older. They went off to the military and just...
Were you the baby?
I was.
The baby.
Yeah, I was a baby on both sides. I have 4 before me on my mom's side and 5 before me on my dad's side. Yeah, my dad was in his late 50s when I was conceived. Things, I mean, I remember waking up in the middle of the night to my bed shaking. You know, I had sleep paralysis as a young child. You know, I mean, I just had this light, you know.
Did that feel like it was coming from like the head injury, or did you feel like that was more of an inner knowing, inner experience?
It was me. You know, the head injury might have done something because it's known to happen, you know, but...
Or open you up, or...
Right, you know, and...
Because that is a tremendous trauma.
I just remember looking...
Especially at 3.
Exactly, you know, and it was a trauma for everybody around, too. I mean, the sheriff, the rookie, actually, that he had to wait for the jaws of life. He actually had to do, whatever. I got to meet him before he died. And I was in my mid-40s. This is really cool because this gives people an example of closing a cycle. I'm giving you a happy example. He retired and he bought a bar in my local town, and my uncle used to own this bar, so it was really cool. And I was in there, and this was my, I was a situation alcoholic. I grew up in an alcoholic family. It wasn't my thing of choice, but that's what you do, when you're trying to chase away your demons, right? So I'm sitting in this bar, and I look over, and he's sitting there with a couple people, and I'm all, is that so-and-so? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I've heard stories. I don't want to talk to him. So I went over there, and I said, you remember me? And he looked at me, because, I was 3 at this point. I'm in my 40s. And I asked him, do you remember me? And he goes, no. I go, do you remember a 79 green Pinto on this road this year? And he looked at me, and he goes, yeah. I go, I'm that little girl that you saved. I grew up. Thank you. You know what I mean? And it brought tears to his eyes. Yeah. Because, here's this lifeless child that made you question. Yeah, because
they don't know if you made, sometimes they might find out, but.
It made him question his career. You know what I mean? He's like, I had nightmares,
Yeah, they just go on to the next emergency and the next emergency.
Yep. And nobody's prepared to see a child. Yeah. So I got to thank him for saving my life, and it was really cool.
I love moments like that.
Right. It's like grandma, selling jewelry, and then her children. That's closing a cycle.
Yeah.
And I think that people aren't aware. They don't give themselves enough credit.
That's so massive. That circuit,
it's
you're right.
Magic.
It is. And it coming into a close or coming into a peace, it reaches its peace point. Mm-hmm. That's what that closure.
It's the Wheel of Fortune.
That's what it feels like. It's like a peace, a mutual peace.
For both people.
Right. And it does. It's it feels so good. I love those kind of full circle moments.
Because, he whatever PTSD or whatever memory he had in his head is totally replaced by a happier one. You know what I mean? And it makes you feel good. It's those ones that are traumatic, and I'm going to use an example of, again, we pay the sins of our fathers for 100 years. It doesn't matter if you grew up with them, if it's their DNA. And sometimes when it's past, we have no business talking about our grandfather's dirty laundry. It's in the past for a reason. Because you bring that up, you better be careful, because you're opening a portal, so to speak. Some things just don't need to be talked about. I opened this myself because it was my own lesson, I was adopted on my father, and so my biological father, he had a history, and I needed to know things, and so I went prying, and I undug some things that didn't quite have answers, and my dad was a gangster, and I'm not going to go into detail, you know what I mean, because it might still be sore to some people. But he was a gangster, and I had a different last name, so people didn't really know I was related, but there were people that were like, oh, we're going to have some revenge. If there's unsolved issues, it's going to affect your life. Back to the toxic, I fell in love with, the town bad boy, whatever, connect for everything. I had a lot of money. My father had passed away, my adoptive father, and he leached on that energy. It finds you. Anytime you're going to do something better in your life, it'll find you if you don't squash it. So I never knew stories about my real father and the terror that he rid through the town that I'm from.
What was it that made you curious? Was there a moment that you became more curious and active in the search?
Stories, history, you know what I mean? And my dad had a past. He wanted things quiet for a reason. He was, he was hiding out for a reason, you know what I mean? My dad was a freaking gangster, and he did a few things, and I was never really closed because where to go. You know, it's like you can't have a murder if there's no weapon.
Well, and that energy too of that whole lifestyle is like you're either running or something's chasing. Both of those energies then.
And if you don't know what
that is, you're still feeling the energy. Like, why am I always running? And what is always chasing me?
It doesn't matter. Karma wants closure because that's what your soul truly desires. Nobody knows what they want in lifetime. But if your soul truly desires it, your subconscious is going to make that shit happen.
It's going to lead it.
So you have to be careful what you say.
Or lead to it.
Exactly, because it's what you want. I wanted closure. I wanted to know why do I have a gangster mind? Well, I figured it out. I did. And I didn't have to own it. I put it in a box and I set that shit on fire so my kids wouldn't have to deal with it. Because it's not ours. Now nobody has to deal with it. You know? And
breaking away from like a generational cycle of that.
That's right. Because, you know, when you get that shit and you come from a toxic family, you make your scars your armor, and you have scars. You take beatings that are not yours.
I like how you said it. You do take and you make your scars your armor.
Mm-hmm. You can also translate that into your core. It's your beliefs. It's how, you know. I mean, I should have been born with a warning label, but when I'm in a situation, I become real freaking graceful. Fortunately, I had to deal with it by myself. So, you know, there's one example of closing a cycle. Now I know why I always looked for that kind of toxicity.
What made you aware? What was the moment like that made you aware of that the power's in your hands, that you can like stop running, stop being chased, stop battling and wrestling with life?
I stopped being scared. That's the thing. People run from their own shit because they're too afraid to stand still and face it.
Did something lead up to that though? Something must have gained the courage in you, or something made you more aware?
An ex-boyfriend, he put a mirror in front of my face, and this was years ago, okay? And he just kind of put a mirror in front of my face, and I mean, I was like, oh my God, this guy is so irreplaceable, and I love him. I was dick dumb and cum drunk. Point blank, period. That's how I'd always find validation, love. And I allowed myself to be used when all the signs were right there. I was okay, fine, you know, and still carrying resentment. I mean, like I said, after the third marriage, you better look at your own toxicity, right? So why are these guys dumping me for fucking ugly women? You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with that. You need to look inside and see what it is about yourself that makes you that way. So what I did is deep night of the soul, and I kind of fell into it because I was like, just tell me what it is that you need me to fix. What can I do to be a better person so I can attract? I want a family. You know what I mean?
A prayer?
Mm-hmm. Because I'd wake up in the middle of the night, 3, 4 in the morning, and I'd have tears just shooting out of my eyes, and I wouldn't know why, and it was almost like I was drowning. Because I'd wake up gasping and crying, and I couldn't understand why. Because your subconscious is like, hey, remember me? We have some issues to work on. Mm-hmm. People can't really sit with themselves because they're too afraid of the silence. They've never been.
Like they're afraid of their own company sometimes.
That's right. And sometimes you're afraid of your own shadows.
You have to face stuff. Yeah.
You do. And they're fearful. And there is nothing so fearful that you can't sit down and go, I'm the boss.
Especially what's hard about sitting with yourself is realizing there's like no one to blame.
Exactly. You know, you can only blame your parents for so long, and you're just going to have to be your own person, you know. But when you're used to being around toxicity and bad behaviors and manipulation, you don't want to be that way. So you need to know what it is that's yours, that you're carrying, and what it is that's been thrown on you. Because that's the first step of that deep night of the soul. You have to, because you have to take yourself down to the core and just get rid of what does not suit you, my heart, I don't feel that way in my heart. My gut's like, yeah, do it, but you're sensitive. You have a good heart. You need to figure that out. And then what doesn't suit you that you can fix, because people don't leave you because you're not innocent. You got something you need to work on. That's where our karmics come in at, right? Look, here's your mirror. What's wrong? You need to fix it. Bye. See you later. It's showing you your heart space without showing you how to use it. It's not my job. It's not their job. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what do you not like about yourself? Well, I don't like that I fly off the handle, that, I have abandonment. Anytime they're out of my sight, you must be cheating on me. No trust. That comes from my father. That's instilled at a young age. Because your father, if they're not around or they mistreat you, how are you going to trust a man or anybody? If you have mommy issues, how are you going to learn that even if you come downstairs after playing dress up at 6 years old and you look terrible, but you're still beautiful, honey, let's figure it out. Not dance, monkey, dance. Is this how I feel? Work on it. Because the only time a person's going to change is when they want to change for themselves. And it's a lonely world out there if you don't work on it.
And in here.
That's
if
right.
You don't.
Getting a hold of those shadows, it's like, that's not my shit. Let it go. And you make them work for you.
Your advice on how to best do that?
My advice is first separate those traumas and those phobias that aren't yours and what are yours, and heal. Learn to sit by yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself. Learn humility. Humility, humility, humility. Learn to go, you know what? Yeah, I did do that. Be the first to apologize for your behavior. Not codependently, of course, but, if you feel bad, be that person everybody wants to fucking be. I might not, I might borrow $20 from you, or you might have, for some reason, helped me with a bill. Doesn't mean I forgot. I'll be back. Take accountability for your own fucking actions.
Since the last time I saw you, it's been like a year. And I'm just curious, we can finish with this. Like, what was your transformational moment? And I guess what do you hope for like a bucket list for your going forward?
My transformation forward is realizing that it's hard to freaking grow and cut that energetical cord if you're still where they can access you. And how that's done is all they have to do. If you've ever talked to somebody who has, they can astral project. All you need to do that is a memory of that person, an intimate moment, to imagine what it was like being inside their car, like if you were there. You imagine their house. Because if you've been there enough, that's how you astral project. You imagine yourself there. And as long as you're anywhere within an energetical distance, they can find you. It doesn't matter. Manifestation, if you're thinking about SpongeBob and all of a sudden somebody pops in your head, it's because they're thinking about you. They're trying to manifest you back, putting those thoughts in your head. So I had to hide. Because as long as that was happening, I wasn't going into that no contact breakaway, because that's the best way to get. You go cold on a narcissist and they freak out because now you've gotten their ego. And then they've got their new supply. But those that have watched, that think that they're getting a lucky seat, they're 100 times worse to get what's coming because they watched. I had to get the heck away because I was just falling in the same thing, same people, you know what I mean? So I ran out of gas. Yeah, and I was right there at the gorge, right? And, where all 3 states come together in 10 minutes.
This is after you were in the...
when I was in the desert.
Yeah.
And I lived in isolation with myself. I mean, I'd go to work to do my whatever shift, it was part-time. And I go back to my trailer with my dog, and just to rebuild my core. Because, it was being torn down. I just remembered, I'm like, I can't remove or change anything else. You've got me to my core. You have to make sure that foundation is good, because now you have to build yourself back up. You get to replace what you've removed. You can't do that if you have people in your ear. If you're going to build yourself back up to how you would want to meet you, because you got to fix your shit. You can't have anybody influencing you. You're not going to be clear to who you are. We have a saying that what's right is right. Doesn't matter if you stand alone. What's right is right. And you have to do that because your heart can't be involved. Because that's what, you should always lead with your heart. But that's what messes people up, and they don't realize that because they've been told, what does your heart say? Mm-hmm. Fuck your heart. Your heart's your enemy right now. It's horny. You know what I mean? You got to think with your gut That's your intuition, right? And then it tells your head, yeah, you are right. And so you have to keep, because your mind's soft, remember? I mean, you're trying to rebuild and transform how you feel about yourself, your thoughts, what you tell yourself. And if you got somebody over here, that's trying to manifest you, telling you you're a piece of crap, how are you going to grow to be the best that you're going to be? How are you going to love yourself?
This is the most aware and present that I have seen you in all the years we've known each other. It's been like over a decade, and I'm so happy for you on your happy birthday that you've had this rebirth.
On 50, exactly.
And you've had this rebirth.
For the first time in a long time, my crown is where it needs to be.
And most people go through life not knowing themselves, escaping themselves, losing themselves.
They're too afraid to sit in their own thoughts.
And for you to have this journey through hell, and you're only sharing that much so far, I know that. But for you to have this journey through hell and still recover your whole self, your divine sacred self, your spirit, and to be back in your light.
Yep.
Through addiction, through maybe trafficking, I want to say.
Maybe.
Through just so much pain, betrayal, abuse, and I'm just happy for you, friend. I'm happy for you that you're walking this whole human way through life, the birthright that you have to live your life.
That's right.
And I want to toast to that. Because I feel like I've been just like babysitting my little birthday bourbon here.
We're tough, aren't we?
It tastes even better now that I've had the time to sit and celebrate and hear from you.
And I think that's where a lot of people too, where they reach that depression point and they watch people, well, why does things come so easy for that guy? Because they don't hold on to their grandparents' shit.
They've made room. You have to make room in your life for the blessings that come in.
That's right.
You can't ask and expect to receive when you're hoarding onto all the
other
things
people's
that
energy
have broke your faith to begin with.
It's like people,
broke your spirit.
I hear people, I got grandpa's Purple Heart. Well, why the hell would you want that? Think of all that negativity. That's not your wound.
Things do have energy. Possessions do have energy.
Yeah.
They possess us.
Yeah, so, I'm holding on to grandpa stuff because when my grandpa did this, well, you didn't.
Yeah.
How are you going to transform and find your own if you're hanging on to the memories of something you weren't even involved in?
And doesn't it feel lighter?
It does.
To go through life that way and not have the weight and the heaviness and the burden.
It got to the point where all I'd have to do was put a leash on my dog and grab my backpack. That's all I had. And when I was in the desert, I went out there in November, and it was their winter, which is our spring, and I did it with no electricity, no running water. I was the cleanest hippie you'd ever met, and it was the best thing I ever did, because I did. I found this place. It was a Wendy's or something. It was a restaurant that closed down, and it was awesome. I felt like I was like on an island or something for a minute, because there was where they do the garbage, the little gates or whatever. They had a spigot in there, and there was no garbage. Cleanest freaking garbage place I'd ever seen, So I'd go in there and I'd shut the gates and everything. I'd take a shower under the spigot. It was one of those old ones because nobody could see. I was like, this is cool.
You do need to write your book. The monk in the desert.
Yeah.
Monk in the Arizona desert.
Yeah.
And I think it will be very empowering and very inspiring for people to read. And I want to thank you for spending your birthday with me. I really know that every person I meet has the richest stories of their lives, and the lessons are in there. And we have so much more in common than we think with people we walk past every day.
That's why I'm saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. You might have a person next to you that frickin' they got some twisted shit in their family, but they came out good. You know what I mean? That's it dawned on me. You can't, forgive my enemies for they don't know what they've done. Well, some of them don't. Because life can eat you the frack up, and people don't realize that. I didn't get a break in life. It was one thing after the other. And
now liberated.
You know, now I enjoy and I crave peace. I have built peace.
Peace is a good thing to be loyal to for yourself. It's a good thing to pull into your life.
That's right. And if you don't...
I honor that for you.
Peace is beautiful.
Peace is the best
love
gift.
it.
Turning 50, having peace, that's the best gift ever.
Yep. And just, you have to remember too, if you don't have a place of stability, you can't manifest. Period.
Yeah, that's that clarity.
I'm happy for my boys because they will never know that shit of what I've had to clean up for my parents. I wish I would have known that sooner, so they wouldn't have anything in mind to have to clean up. You know, but always protect your inner child, and always never be afraid to sit down with her or him, because that's important. That inner child's your roadblock removal. Nothing happens until that little girl or boy says it happens. But if you're too busy in other people's bullshit, you'll miss your own blessings.
Well, thank you again. I want to thank you for sharing a piece of your peace here on your birthday with me on No Name Podcast, and we will have to do this again.